I want to talk to you guys about visualization of business and numbers and how you unfold a storybook about your life. I'm sitting in one of our subdivisions, and ironically enough, there's multiple homes in here that I built out, and this is the means of how I became a millionaire back in the early 2000s. You know, it's probably been about not quite 20 years, but it's been about 17 or 18 years ago that I master planned how I was going to hit millionaire status. And I know some people that don't understand how money is made and don't have financial literacy can sit back and go, okay, how do you mentally understand how you're going to become a millionaire? Well, I'll be the first to tell you that you can get there by luck, or you can become a professional athlete and have one boxing fight or something to that nature, and get a contract and land up making millions of dollars in one night. Or you can be like the mass majority of people that go out and work, right? And through some means of working, you create wealth. And so mine was through the means of buying land and building houses. And then from that, I was able to deploy that capital into long-term holdings and multi-unit real estate, which has passive income all the time. And so, you know, when I first started doing this, I visualized, after I did about 2 of them, I said, you know what, I can duplicate this. And through the simple mathematics of just the product of duplication, I saw how much money I made per house. And I saw what I needed to make to live. And I had 2 companies at the time. And so I lived off of one company, and the other company, which was buying land and building houses, our construction company, I didn't spend any of that money, and I just exercised the product of duplication. And so I literally went out and bought pieces of land, just like this one that I'm standing on right here, that I actually own. And I bought a piece of land and I built a house, and I landed up making about 90,000, about 80, a little over 80,000 on the first build. Second house, then I did 2 of them in the same year. So I landed up doing 3 of them my first year that I ever built a house. And I landed up making about 90,000 on the next 2. And so I sat back and I said, you know, this is pretty interesting that I can make this much money in this condensed amount of time if I utilize the system that I put behind things. And the system was very escalated as far as time. I was very ambitious and very aggressive in my nature as to how I manage my projects. And so for those of you guys who are subcontractors that do work on our behalf and are watching this, you guys can attest to the fact that I was a real pain in the ass back then, and I'm still a real pain in the ass right now, you know. And I press people to make them better. It makes them more money, makes me more money. But what it does is it was able to get me to a point where I was able to visualize how to create wealth through the means of buying land and building houses. And the problem is that most people, they never have a roadmap. So it doesn't matter if you're buying land and you're building houses or not. So it doesn't matter what industry that you're in. You could be in any industry at all. This exact same concept is what I used when I landed up opening up beauty salons, and how I said, okay, this beauty salon has to net a minimum of $10,000 a month to make it worth my time, and to make it viable so I could sell it, and so that I can have the rental income, because I utilized those beauty salons to actually stabilize my real estate, my buildings, my retail centers that I was building during the recession. And then I did the same thing with Subway stores. I said, okay, I take these broken down, beat up, piece of shit Subway stores that are doing $5,000 a week in sales, and I'm gonna take these things and I'm gonna get them doing $9,000 a week in sales. How do you do that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the way you do that is through multiplication. You just take a simple piece of paper and you sit down and you write down a realistic business plan that you can visualize. Like, you can see the numbers that are actually realistic numbers. And so when I bought land and built houses, I just sat down and said, okay, if I built this first one in this many months, I'm getting better at it. These next 2 only took me this amount of time. Now, if I can go in and if I can do 2 of these at a time and I plan them this way, I can make this much money. Then in the process of doing that, at what point in time do I buy more lots and revolve that capital to do it again? And so I was able to visualize it. And what most people don't realize is the subconscious mind is the strongest part of your mind that you have. And it's the most vulnerable part of your mind. And so what's real important to understand if you're watching this video is that you have to be able to feed your subconscious mind something that it can comprehend and visualize. I'll tell you that when I was in college, I remember being in pharmacy school, and I remember taking physics, and I remember taking organic chemistry and molecular cell biology and all these science and maths, and I was horrible at them at first. And I'd study and study and study. And as God is my witness, I remember sometimes I'd study and I would sit there in the library going through all these numbers, and I was just brain fried. Didn't get it. And I remember one night, I fell asleep, and within an hour of falling asleep, my brain was going still with these numbers going through my brain. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I got it. I figured it out. Like I literally sat down and I got up, and I remember walking to the kitchen. I lived in this little trailer that I had traded for a pickup truck. And I remember walking to the kitchen and writing it down in the middle of the night. And I was like going, oh shit, I had an epiphany while I was sleeping, because I had fed my mind those numbers in tutoring at the library with friends, going over these numbers for days and weeks, and I couldn't get it. And in my sleep, I shit you not, I went in there and I figured it out in the middle of the night. And I sat down and wrote it down. I was like, oh my God. That was the night that I really realized how vulnerable your subconscious mind was. And this was before all my business career. This was before I understood anything about how important the mindset was, anything I didn't understand about the mindset of business and success. I just understood in that moment how incredible the subconscious mind is. So I share that with you guys because that exact same concept is what I've used through business. So your mind is the most vulnerable when it's between a state of asleep and awake. And so when your body is relaxed and your brain can actually release, and your endorphins are go down, and you don't have high levels of so you don't, when you go in and you've relaxed and your dopamine levels are released, your brain actually starts to work. And so what ends up happening is when you go to sleep, if you can visualize what you're doing out here, and I know this stuff is like way far-fetched for a lot of people. You're sitting back going, oh my God, Jerome's talking Chinese to me, or he's talking French to me, or he's talking Spanish to me. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking English to you guys, and I'm telling you guys in plain, simple terms that the subconscious mind is strong. And the way you create wealth is by exercising what I'm telling you guys here with a subconscious mind. So when you go in, and I started doing this, I sat down with a piece of paper and I said, okay, this is how many homes I need to hit $1 million, to become a millionaire by doing this, to have $1 million in the bank after I pay taxes. And so I sat down and I put a business plan together, and I could visualize that business plan, and it was so viable that I knew exactly what I needed to do as an individual to make it happen and to implement. And the biggest problem is most of you guys are walking around like this with your eyes closed, trying to become millionaires. Going, okay, I know there's $1 million. You guys ever play pin the tail on the donkey, and you're sitting there trying to pin the tail on it? That's you guys trying to become millionaires. You're sitting there with your eyes closed, with blinders, trying to become a millionaire. It don't work. It doesn't work. What I'm telling you guys works. What you do is you sit down, you can visualize it, and you sit down, you break down your numbers, you reverse engineer them. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of the hardest things for most people to do. If you want to work with my team, myself, and really understand how to reverse engineer numbers and put a business plan together that's viable, that really works, ladies and gentlemen, I need you guys to click below and reach out to one of my team members and understand how you too can come in. It's simple. Buy land and build a house and become profitable from it. I was just on a podcast this week, and the gentleman was more mature. He was probably in his late 50s, early 60s. And he said, Jerome, I built one spec home and I lost my ass doing it. He goes, I'll never do it again. I haven't brought up the courage to do it again. And that's when you buy a piece of land, you build a house prior to having a homeowner purchase it, and you develop it out, and he got stuck with it. And it's because, and when I got to talking to him, it was because he didn't know how much to spend on the build. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there is an art behind this, but you have to understand the business behind the game. It's like anything. There's some people that get wealthy doing one thing and other people that go broke. But the people that learn the game the right way, and that's what we do with the Elite Real Estate side. That's what I do with Jerome Maldonado. That's what we do, is we teach you guys the exact floor plan, because we've never lost money building any houses. And I've been doing it for 20 plus years. And every single house, every single one that we built a lot of them, has been profitable. And ladies and gentlemen, it's because we've exercised simple concepts that work. And through those simple concepts, we've been able to go out and make a ton of money buying land and building houses. Ladies and gentlemen, click below. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. I look forward to working with you, but more than anything, I look forward to your success.